being taught how to use vibrational matrices, vibrational grids that stands behind everything in the physical world, including the human physical body, is based on a specific vibrational grid. Today, when we translate the Egyptian text into English, we translate them so that it says that this is a god or a goddess. But that was not a concept from ancient Egypt. They didn't use the term god or goddess. They used the term neter. And neter is based on the hieroglyphic language that represents phonetics as the letters NTR. Neter means a conscious force of nature. And so there's no dichotomy for them between a conscious being and a force of nature. Whereas today we have a tremendous dichotomy, and we think of nature as being a clockwork mechanism that can be manipulated in some external way. But every classical tradition, particularly the ancient Egyptian, understood that the forces of nature are conscious. They can be communicated with. And part of the initiation process is learning how to communicate with the forces of nature. The term neter, to refer to these beings, is the foundation for the modern English term nature. And so they are the conscious forces of nature, and the human initiate reaches out to connect to them, as you see with the hand grasping the arm. And then the neter interacts with the person through particular forms held in the hand. So we have here the waz, scepter, and the ankh. Now these things are interpreted today by Egyptologists as being abstract symbols, so that the ankh represents life, for example. But there's much more to it. These things are actually geometric energy emitters, that the shapes that they represented actually were the forms that emitted specific vibrational powers. And you'll note that the forms are being introduced around the area of the person's sinus cavities. And I went to a conference a year ago here in Silicon Valley. That was the TransTech conference, in which people were developing new technologies to be able to manipulate human brain states. And many of these devices are based on inserting diodes into the nose and being able to activate aspects of the brain through flashing particular flicker rates with these LEDs that then directly affect brain states. Because they found that by inserting them up the nasal cavity, you can directly affect the brain. And so you can see they're doing the same thing here. There's a direct connection to the pineal, pituitary, and all of the forces in the third ventricle of the brain, what was called the cave of Brahma in the Himalayan tradition, through the introduction through the sinus cavity. So the concept here is that the initiate is learning how to communicate with the netters, and that geometric forms emanate specific types of energy that are a part of the initiation and allow them to manipulate the net. So next to it is a pendulum from ancient Egypt that they called the Waj pendulum. And the Waj pendulum, the later French researchers referred to as simply the Egyptian pendulum. The hemispherical cap creates a penetrating carrier wave of energy that comes out of the tip, and the double zigzag lines, which have a energetic effect, but are also the letter N in the hieroglyphic language, actually change the vibrational state of the ray coming from the hemispherical cap, so when it exits the tip, it has been cleaned of some of its detrimental components. Now, this is a background from the Egyptian work, and many of the secrets of the old Egyptian work were rediscovered by French researchers in the early 1900s.